Hello, story lovers. Tonight, we're diving into a tale of passion, secrets, and choices that could change everything. Hearts will be broken, love will be tested, and every twist will leave you on the edge of your seat. Comment below where you're watching from, and if this story moves you, hit like, subscribe. Share it with someone who loves a powerful love story, and tap the bell so you never miss the next thrilling chapter. Ready? Let's begin. The rain hammered against the gallery windows like bullets, each drop exploding into 1,000 fragments before sliding down the glass. Maya Chen stood before her latest painting, a canvas bleeding crimson and black. Her fingers still stained with paint that had dried hours ago. Another rejection, she whispered to the empty space, crumpling the email printout in her fist. Manhattan Gallery that had promised her. Everything now wanted nothing. The sound of expensive leather shoes on polished concrete made her turn. A man stood silhouetted in the doorway, rain-soaked and breathing hard as if he'd been running. His dark hair dripped water onto his tailored suit, and when he looked up, Maya saw eyes the color of winter storms. "We're closed," she said, but her voice caught in her throat. He stepped into the light, and Maya felt the air shift around them. This wasn't just any man. This was Adrian Blackstone, the tech mogul whose face graced every business magazine in the city. His company had revolutionized cybersecurity, making him worth billions before 30. "I know," he said, his voice rough with something that sounded like desperation. "I saw your light on. I needed somewhere to think." Maya studied his face, searching for the arrogance she expected from men like him. Instead, she found something. Broken beneath the surface, a crack in the perfect facade that made her chest tighten. "Bad night?" she asked. Adrian's laugh was bitter as broken glass. "The worst." He moved closer to her painting, and Maya watched his eyes trace the violent brushstrokes, the way pain had been carved into every layer of pigment. "This is incredible. It's my last," Maya said, surprising herself with the admission. "After tonight, I'm done pretending I can make it as an artist." "What happened tonight?" "The same thing that always happens. I'm not what they want." She gestured at the gallery space around them, at the white walls that had held so much promise. "And you? What brings Adrian Blackstone to a failing art gallery at midnight?" His jaw tightened. "Someone I trusted just destroyed 5 years of my life's work, sold my company's security protocols to my biggest competitor." He paused, his eyes meeting hers. "Turns out my fiancé was working for them the entire time." The words hung between them like smoke, heavy with betrayal and loss. Maya felt something dangerous stirring in her chest, a recognition of shared pain that made her want to reach out and touch the shadows under his eyes. "I'm sorry," she said, and meant it. Adrian moved closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne mixed with rain. "What's your name?" "Maya." "Maya," he repeated, and the way he said it made her name sound like a prayer. "I have a proposition for you." Maya's pulse quickened. "What kind of proposition?" "I need someone real," Adrian said, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "Someone who understands betrayal. Someone who can help me destroy the people who destroyed me." The gallery lights flickered overhead, casting shifting shadows across Adrian's face. Maya knew she should say no, should walk away from whatever darkness lived behind those storm-gray eyes. But her own demons were clawing at her ribs, demanding vengeance against a world that had rejected her at every turn. "What exactly are you asking me to do?" Adrian stepped closer, so close she could feel the heat radiating from his skin. "I'm asking you to marry me, Maya, to help me take back everything they stole." The rain outside grew louder, drowning out the sound of Maya's heartbeat thundering in her ears. 3 days later. Maya stood in Adrian's penthouse, watching Manhattan spread out below them like a glittering circuit board. The marriage certificate lay on his glass desk, their signatures still wet with black ink. "Having second thoughts?" Adrian asked, loosening his tie as he joined her at the floor-to-ceiling windows. "About marrying a stranger for revenge?" "Never." Maya's reflection smiled back at her from the glass, but her eyes held shadows she couldn't hide. "Tell me about her, your fiancée." Adrian's reflection went rigid. "Victoria Sterling, beautiful, brilliant, and completely soulless. She spent 2 years in my bed learning my weaknesses, mapping every vulnerability. His voice turned to ice. She played her part perfectly. And now you want me to play mine. Not play, Adrian said, turning to face her. I want you to be exactly who you are. Raw, honest, unbreakable. His fingers traced the air near her, cheek without quite touching. Victoria was polished perfection. You're something real? Maya felt heat crawl up her spine at the intensity in his gaze. What makes you think I won't betray you two? Because you have nothing to gain from my destruction, Adrian said, and everything to lose if I fall. He moved to his desk, pulling out a thick folder. Sterling Tech will unveil my stolen security protocols at next week's cybersecurity summit. They'll present them as their own innovation, worth hundreds of millions. His jaw clenched. Unless we stop them first. Maya opened the folder, scanning photographs and financial documents. Victoria Sterling's face stared back at her from a corporate headshot, all sharp cheekbones and calculated smiles. She's beautiful. Beauty was her weapon, Adrian said, his voice hollow. She knew exactly how to make me believe I was the only man who'd ever seen past her facade to something genuine underneath. Was there something genuine? Adrian's laugh was knife-sharp. I thought so. For 2 years, I thought I'd found the one person who understood the isolation that comes with this much power. He gestured at the opulent penthouse around them. Turns out she understood it well enough to exploit it. Maya studied his profile, the way pain had carved itself into the lines around his eyes. And your plan is what exactly? To show up at the summit with a new wife and somehow expose her? My plan, Adrian said, moving closer until she could feel the heat of his body, is to make Victoria believe she's losing the game she thought she'd already won. To watch her composure crack when she realizes I'm not broken. And then, Adrian's smile was dangerous as a blade. Then she'll make mistakes. And when she does, I'll be ready to catch every single one. The sunset painted the penthouse in shades of gold and crimson, and Maya found herself mesmerized by the way the light caught in Adrian's dark hair. This close, she could see the exhaustion beneath his controlled exterior, the way he held himself like a man balancing on the edge of a precipice. There's something else, Adrian said, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. Victoria will expect me to parade you around, to use you as a trophy to prove I've moved on. She'll try to get close to you, to find weaknesses she can exploit. Let her try. Adrian's eyes searched her face. Don't understand. Victoria is dangerous when she's cornered. She'll dig into your past, find every mistake, every moment of pain, and use it as ammunition. Maya stepped closer, close enough that their breath mingled in the space between them. My past is full of pain, Adrian. It's made me stronger, not more vulnerable. Something flickered in Adrian's eyes, something that looked almost like hope. There's one more thing you need to know before we do this.
What?
If Victoria discovers the real reason I chose you, she realizes what you mean to me already, she'll try to destroy you completely. His hand finally made contact, fingers tracing the line of her jaw, and I don't know if I can protect you. From that, Maya's pulse thundered as she realized what he wasn't saying, what hung unspoken in the air between them. What do I mean to you, Adrian? Before he could answer, his phone exploded with sound. Victoria's name flashed across the screen, accompanied by a photo that made Maya's stomach clench with unexpected jealousy. Adrian's face went stone cold as he answered. Victoria. Adrian, darling, came the smooth, cultured voice through the speaker. I heard the most interesting rumor about a wedding certificate filed this morning. I simply had to call and congratulate you. Maya watched Adrian's reflection in the window, saw the way his free hand clenched into a fist at his side. You? I'm sure you'll meet her soon enough. Oh, I'm counting on it, Victoria purred. After all, I'd hate for your new bride to be unprepared for what she's walking into. The Cybersecurity Summit ballroom buzzed with the energy of tech's most powerful players. Maya adjusted the diamond earrings Adrian had insisted she wear, their weight foreign against her neck as she scanned the crowd for Victoria Sterling. Remember? Adrian murmured against her ear, his hand warm on the small of her back. She'll try to isolate you first, make you think you can trust her. Maya's skin burned where he touched her. Over the past week, the line between pretense and reality had blurred until she couldn't tell where the performance ended and her genuine feelings began. And if she succeeds, she won't. Adrian's voice carried a certainty that made her pulse quicken. "'Cause you're stronger than she is." Adrian Blackstone. They turned to find Victoria Sterling approaching, and Maya's breath caught. Photographs hadn't captured the predatory grace in Victoria's movements. The way she seemed to glide across the floor like a shark through dark water. Her silver dress clung to every curve, and her smile was sharp enough to cut glass. Victoria. Adrian's voice betrayed nothing, but Maya felt the tension radiating from his body. Victoria's gaze swept over Maya with calculating precision. "And you must be the new Mrs. Blackstone. I'm Victoria Sterling, Adrian's former business partner." "Maya," she replied, extending her hand. Victoria's grip was firm, lasting just long enough to establish dominance. Such an interesting choice. "Adrian," Victoria said, her tone honey-sweet and poisonous. "So different from your usual type." Adrian's arm tightened around Maya's waist. "Maya is exactly what I need. I'm sure she is." Victoria's smile widened, revealing perfect white teeth. "Maya, darling, I simply must steal you away for a moment. There are some people you absolutely need to meet." Before Maya could protest, Victoria's fingers wrapped around her wrists like a silk-covered vice, leading her away from Adrian toward a quieter corner of the ballroom. Maya glanced back to see Adrian's face, the way his jaw clenched as he watched them go. "Don't worry about Adrian," Victoria said, following her gaze. "He'll be fine. He always lands on his feet." She paused at a high-top table near the windows. "Though I suppose you know that already, considering how quickly you managed to catch him." "Catch him?" Victoria laughed, the sound like wind chimes in a storm. "Oh, please. A struggling artist marries a billionaire within weeks of meeting him. We both know what that looks like." Maya felt heat rise in her cheeks. "You don't know anything about our relationship, don't I?" Victoria leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. I know Adrian better than anyone, sweetheart. I know about the nightmares that wake him at 3 a.m., about the way he counts ceiling tiles when he can't sleep. I know he takes his coffee black because his father told him sugar was weakness." Her smile turned cruel. "I know he's only with you because you remind him of his sister." The words hit Maya like physical blows. His sister, Elena, she died in a car accident when Adrian was 17. Also an artist, also dark-haired, also convinced she could save the world with her creativity. Victoria's eyes glittered with malicious satisfaction. "Didn't he tell you? You're not his wife, darling? You're his guilt made manifest?" Maya's vision blurred at the edges. Across the ballroom, she could see Adrian deep in conversation with a group of executives, his face animated in a way she'd never seen before. Had everything between them been a lie? A twisted form of grief therapy? "I see I've given you something to think about," Victoria said, straightening. "Don't take it personally, Maya. Adrian has always been drawn to broken things. The difference is, I learned how to use that weakness. You're still letting it control you." Before Maya could respond, Victoria melted back into the crowd, leaving her standing alone by the windows. The city lights below seemed to mock her, a million tiny stars she'd never be able to reach. "Maya." Adrian appeared at her side, his face creased with concern. "What did she say to you?" Maya turned to study his face, searching for traces of deception in the gray depths of his eyes. "Tell me about Elena." Adrian went completely still. For a moment, the sounds of the party faded into white noise, leaving only the thundering of Maya's heartbeat in her ears. "Victoria told you," he said finally. "Is it true? Am I just a replacement for your dead sister?" Adrian's hand reached for her, then dropped to his side. "It's complicated." "That's not an answer. Maya, please, not here." But Maya was already moving, pushing through the crowd toward the exit. Behind her, she heard Adrian call her name, but she didn't stop. The elevator doors closed just as he reached them, his face a mask of desperation and regret. In the lobby, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Parking garage. Level B2. Come alone if you want to know the truth about your..." Husband v. Maya stared at the message, her hands shaking. Every instinct screamed at her to delete it, to go home and demand answers from Adrian. But Victoria's words echoed in her mind, poisonous and persistent. The parking garage was dimly lit, filled with shadows that seemed to move in her peripheral vision. Victoria waited by a black sedan, no longer the polished socialite from upstairs. Here, in the fluorescent half-light, she looked dangerous. "I was wondering if you'd come," Victoria said. "What do you want?" Victoria pulled out a tablet, swiping. "To a video file. I want to show you something Adrian doesn't know I have." The screen filled with security footage from what looked like Adrian's penthouse. Maya watched herself and Adrian from their first night together, but the audio was different. Layered with commentary from Adrian's voice speaking to someone off camera. "She's perfect," Adrian's voice said. "Dark hair, artistic, damaged enough to be grateful. Alina would have been 28 this year, exactly Maya's age." Maya's knees went weak as she heard her husband's voice continue. "Victoria broke me, but Maya can rebuild me to the man Alina always believed I could be." Maya sat in the passenger seat of Victoria's sedan, the tablet heavy in her lap as the doctored audio played on repeat in her mind. The parking garage felt like a tomb, all concrete and shadows, and the taste of betrayal coating her tongue. "Sorry you had to find out this way," Victoria said, her voice softer now, almost gentle. "But you deserved to know the truth before you got in too deep." "This could be fake," Maya whispered, though her voice lacked conviction. Victoria's laugh was bitter. "Darling, I may be a lot of things, but I'm not a liar about something like this. Adrian collected information on you for weeks before that night at the gallery. Your financial troubles, your family history, your resemblance to Alina. Nothing about your meeting was coincidence." Maya's phone buzzed with another call from Adrian. She let it go to voicemail, her hands shaking as she stared at his contact photo. Had she ever really known the man behind those storm gray eyes? "What do you want from me?" Maya asked. "I want you to help me expose him," Victoria said, leaning forward. "Tomorrow night, Adrian is presenting the security protocols he claims I stole. Here's the truth, Maya. Those protocols were developed by my team, not his. Adrian has been systematically stealing innovations from smaller tech companies for years, using his reputation to legitimize the theft. That's impossible, is it? Think about it, Maya. How did a man with no formal training in cybersecurity build a billion-dollar security empire by 30? How does he always know exactly which startups to acquire just before they develop breakthrough technology?" Victoria pulled out another tablet, swiping through financial records and communication logs. "Adrian doesn't create, Maya. He identifies, infiltrates, and appropriates, just like he did with you." Maya's stomach twisted as she scanned the documents. Shell companies, suspicious transactions, communications that painted Adrian as a corporate predator who'd built his empire on other people's innovations. "The night I supposedly betrayed him," Victoria continued, "I was actually gathering evidence to expose his theft ring. At least Adrian discovered what I was doing and turned it around, making me look like the villain. Why should I believe you?" Victoria's smile was sad, almost vulnerable. "Because 3 months ago, you would have been his next victim. That gallery you couldn't afford to keep open. Adrian's companies owned the building. He orchestrated your financial collapse to make you desperate enough to accept his proposal." The words hit Maya like ice water. She remembered the sudden acceleration of her debt, the way creditors had appeared from nowhere, the convenient timing of Adrian's arrival at her lowest moment. "He destroyed your life so he could save it," Victoria said quietly. "So you'd be grateful enough to become his perfect replacement, Alina." Maya's phone rang again. This time she answered. "Maya, where are you?" Adrian's voice was tight with panic. "Victoria's dangerous. Whatever she's telling you, it's lies, is it?" Maya asked, surprised by the steadiness of her own voice. "Did you orchestrate my financial collapse?" Silence stretched across the line. When Adrian finally spoke, his voice was hollow. "I can explain. That's all I needed to know." Maya ended the call and looked at Victoria, seeing her clearly for the first time. Not the predator she'd expected, but a woman who'd been systematically destroyed by the man Maya had married. What do you need me to do? Victoria's eyes brightened. Tomorrow night's presentation includes a live demonstration of the security protocols. Adrian will be showcasing how unbreakable they are. She pulled out a USB drive. This contains a virus that will expose every illegal acquisition, every stolen innovation, every destroyed life Adrian's built his empire on, and you need me to plant it. You're the only one with access to his presentation laptop. Adrian trusts you completely. Victoria's voice turned urgent. This is our only chance, Maya. After tomorrow, he'll be too powerful to stop. Maya took the USB drive, its weight seeming to anchor her to this moment of choice. What happens to me after this? You disappear, Victoria said simply. New identity, enough money to start over anywhere you want. You'll be free of him, Maya. Free to build a real life instead of living as someone's replacement. Through the windshield, Maya saw Adrian emerge from the elevator, his face wild as he searched the parking garage. Even from a distance, she could see the desperation in his movements. The way he called her name, like a prayer. He's here, Victoria said. You need to decide now. Maya watched Adrian spin in circles, his composure completely shattered. This was the man who'd held her while she cried about her failures, who'd traced her scars with gentle fingers and whispered that her pain made her beautiful. Was any of it real, or had she been living inside an elaborate performance, Maya? Adrian's voice echoed off the concrete walls. Jews, Victoria whispered. Maya gripped the USB drive tighter, feeling its sharp edges bite into her palm. Tomorrow night, she would stand beside Adrian as he presented technology that might not even belong to him, while a ballroom full of people applauded his genius. She could expose him, destroy the empire he'd built on other people's dreams, and walk away with her freedom. Or she could trust the man who'd claimed to love her, even knowing that love might be built on lies. Adrian spotted the sedan and started, running toward them, his face a mask of desperate hope and terror.
Start the car, Maya said.
The grand ballroom of the Meridian Hotel hummed with anticipation as tech industry leaders gathered for Adrian's presentation. Maya stood at the side of the stage, the USB drive burning like ice in her purse, watching her husband adjust his tie, with hands that barely trembled, 20-4 hours ago. She had driven away with Victoria, leaving Adrian screaming her name in that parking garage. She'd spent the night in a hotel room, staring at ceiling tiles and trying to separate truth from manipulation, love from programming. 5 minutes, Mr. Blackstone, the stage manager called. Adrian turned to Maya, his face a careful mask that couldn't quite hide the fear in his eyes. Are you sure you're ready for this? Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. The presentation laptop sat on a table beside her, its USB port waiting like an open wound. One insertion, and Adrian's empire would crumble into digital dust. Maya, Adrian said quietly, stepping closer. About Alina, don't. Maya held up a hand. Not now. I need you to know that whatever started this, whatever brought us together, what I feel for you is real. His voice cracked slightly. You're not her replacement. You're something entirely your own. Maya searched his face, looking for the lie Victoria had promised she'd find. Instead, she saw raw vulnerability, the kind that couldn't be faked. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed across the ballroom. Please welcome Adrian Blackstone. Adrian squeezed Maya's hand once, quickly, then walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. Maya watched from the wings as he commanded. The room with effortless charisma, explaining the revolutionary security protocols that would change cybersecurity forever. These innovations, Adrian said, represent 5 years of development by the most brilliant minds in the industry. Maya's fingers found the USB drive. Victoria's words echoed in her mind. Stolen innovations, destroyed lives, a predator wearing a philanthropist's mask. But as she watched Adrian present, she noticed something Victoria's evidence hadn't shown her. The technical details Adrian discussed weren't just memorized talking points. He understood the code at a molecular level, could answer spontaneous questions about implementation that only the true creator would know. Either he was a master manipulator, or Victoria's version of events wasn't the whole truth. Now, Adrian continued, I'd like to demonstrate the system's defensive capabilities. with a live penetration test? Maya's blood turned to ice. The presentation wasn't just a speech, it was a real-time demonstration of the security system. If she inserted the USB drive now, Victoria's virus wouldn't just expose Adrian's files. It would destroy the very technology that hundreds of people had invested in, ruining innocent shareholders and employees along with Adrian. Victoria appeared at Maya's elbow like smoke. "Now," she whispered, while he's distracted. Maya looked at the laptop, then at Victoria's face. For the first time, she saw something cold and calculating in those perfectly made-up eyes. Something that reminded her of every gallery owner who'd ever dismissed her work, every person who'd ever underestimated her intelligence. "You lied," Maya whispered. Victoria's mask slipped for just a moment. About what? The virus. "It's not just going to expose files, is it? It's going to destroy the entire system during the live demonstration. Make it look like Adrian's security protocols are worthless." "So what if it does?" Victoria hissed. "He deserves to fall." "And the investors? The pension funds that bought stock in his company? The employees who will lose their jobs when the stock price crashes?" Maya stepped back from the laptop. "You don't want justice, Victoria? You want scorched earth? He destroyed my life, so you decided to destroy hundreds of others?" Maya shook her head. "I know what it feels like to want revenge, but this isn't justice. This is just another kind of theft." On stage, Adrian had reached the climactic moment of his presentation. The security system was fully active, displaying its impenetrable defenses on massive screens around the ballroom. Victoria lunged for the laptop, but Maya was faster. She grabbed the device, holding it protectively against her chest. "You have no idea what you're doing," Victoria snarled. "We'll destroy you just like he destroyed me." "Maybe," Maya said, "but that's my choice to make." Security guards appeared as if from nowhere, surrounding Victoria with professional efficiency. Maya watched in surprise as they led her away, then turned to find Adrian walking off stage toward her. "How long have you known?" Maya asked. "About Victoria's plan? Since yesterday morning? It's about her real reasons for targeting me?" "About 2 years." Adrian's smile was tired but genuine. "She was stealing from me long before I discovered it, Maya. Everything she showed you was carefully edited to paint me as the villain. The audio recording of you talking about me? AI generated. Victoria's gotten very good with deepfake technology." Adrian reached for her hands, his touch gentle. But she wasn't entirely wrong. "I did research you before that night at the gallery, and yes, you reminded me of Elena." Maya felt her chest tighten. "So I am just a replacement." No, Adrian's voice was fierce. "Elena was my sister, my responsibility. When she died, I blamed myself for not protecting her." "You, Maya, you don't need protection. You're strong enough to stand beside me, not behind me. Strong enough to choose me even when someone offers you every reason to walk away." Maya looked around the ballroom, at the crowd still buzzing with excitement over Adrian's presentation, at the future stretching out before them like an uncharted canvas. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," Adrian said, pulling her closer, "we build something real. No lies, no manipulation, no hidden agendas. Just us, making choices together." Maya rose on her toes and kissed him, tasting possibility and hope and the promise of truth. Around them, the ballroom erupted in celebration, but Maya heard only the sound of her own heart finally beating in sync with someone else's. 6 months later, Maya stood in her new gallery space, surrounded by paintings that told the story of finding love in the ruins of betrayal. Adrian watched from the doorway, his presence as steady and sure as a lighthouse in a storm. "Any regrets?" he asked. Maya smiled, touching the wedding ring that now meant something entirely different than it had on their wedding day. "Only that it took me so long to trust what was real." The gallery filled with patrons and critics, but Maya only had eyes for the man who'd taught her that sometimes the most dangerous choice was also the most necessary one. Outside, New York City hummed with endless possibilities. And for the first time in her life, Maya felt ready to claim every single one. END.